It's okay, I'm here.
Is he okay? Is he okay?
He's fine, look, he's sleeping.
Vanessa woke up screaming. Her hands flew to the empty crib beside their bed, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might burst through her chest. The nightmare had been so vivid, so real. Soo-yeon standing over Min-ah's crib with a smile like broken glass, reaching down with hands that promised nothing but pain. In the dream, Vanessa had been frozen, unable to move, unable to scream, unable to protect her daughter. She had watched helplessly as Soo-yeon lifted her baby and walked into shadows that swallowed them both whole. Vanessa, breathe. I'm here. Min-ah is safe. She's right here. Jae-won's voice cut through her panic, and she felt his arms around her, solid and real. He lifted her gently, carrying her the few steps to the nursery connected to their bedroom, where Min-ah slept peacefully in her crib, her tiny chest rising and falling with perfect rhythm. See? She's safe. You're both safe. But as Vanessa stared down at her sleeping daughter, the fear wouldn't leave. It had been 3 months since Jae-won's father had been eliminated, 3 months of what should have been peace. Yet the nightmares were getting worse, not better. And something in her gut, some instinct she couldn't name, was screaming that danger was closer than either of them realized. If you loved part 1, you're going to lose your mind over what happens next. Hit that subscribe button right now because this story is about to get intense, and you don't want to miss a single moment. Let's dive in. Jae-won led her back to bed, but Vanessa couldn't sleep. She lay in the darkness, listening to his breathing even out, feeling the weight of his arm across her waist. She loved him. God, she loved him so much it terrified her. A year and 3 months ago, she had been a hotel cleaner with nothing to her name. Now she was a mother, a wife, a queen in an empire of shadows. But the higher you climbed, the farther you had to fall. And someone, somewhere, was planning to push her. The next morning, Soo-yeon arrived for their weekly strategy meeting looking flawless as always. Her hair was pulled back in a sleek ponytail, her business suit perfectly tailored, her smile warm and professional. She had become invaluable over the past months, helping Vanessa navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries that made up Jae-won's world. She brought coffee, remembered Min-ah's feeding schedule, offered advice that always seemed to work perfectly. She had become, against all odds, something close to a friend. You look exhausted, Soo-yeon said, setting down a cup of coffee made exactly the way Vanessa liked it. Is Min-ah keeping you up? Nightmares, Vanessa admitted, gratefully accepting the coffee. I can't shake this feeling that something's wrong. That we're missing something. Soo-yeon's expression was perfectly sympathetic. You've been through so much trauma. It's natural to feel paranoid. Have you considered talking to someone? A therapist, maybe? I know an excellent one who specializes in PTSD and works with our community. Maybe. Vanessa sipped the coffee, feeling the warmth spread through her. I just want Min-ah to grow up safe. To never know the fear I've known. She will be. Jae-won would burn the world down before he let anything happen to either of you. Soo-yeon pulled out her tablet, switching smoothly to business mode. Speaking of which, we need to discuss the Singapore delegation arriving next week. They're requesting a face-to-face meeting with both you and Jae-won. Singapore? I thought we didn't have operations there. We don't. Yet. That's what makes this interesting. They're proposing an expansion, a partnership that could triple our legitimate business revenue. Soo-yeon pulled up documents, financial projections, everything looking perfectly legitimate. But they're insisting on meeting Min-ah. It's a cultural thing, apparently. They want to see the next generation, confirm the family is stable and strong. Something cold slithered down Vanessa's spine. They want to meet my daughter? I know it's unusual, but these are traditional people. Family means everything to them. It would only be for a moment, a brief introduction. I'll be there the entire time, and Jae-won's security will be triple what it usually is. Vanessa wanted to say no. Every instinct was screaming no. But she also knew that Jae-won was working hard to legitimize their business, to build something their daughter could inherit without blood on her hands. If this Singapore deal was real, it could be the key to everything they'd been working toward. "I'll talk to Jae-won," she said finally. "Perfect. I'll arrange everything." Soo-yeon smiled, and for just a fraction of a second, something flickered in her eyes. Something cold. But when Vanessa blinked, it was gone, replaced by the same warm professionalism she'd come to expect. That night, Vanessa brought up the Singapore proposal to Jae-won. They were in their bedroom, Min-ah finally asleep after her bedtime battle, both of them exhausted but stealing a few moments of quiet together. "Absolutely not," Jae-won said immediately. "No strangers meet our daughter. That's not negotiable. Soo-yeon says it's legitimate. She's vetted them completely. Soo-yeon isn't Min-ah's mother. You are. And if your instincts are saying no, then the answer is no." Vanessa loved him for that, for always trusting her gut even when it didn't make logical sense. What if we're walking away from something good? What if I'm just being paranoid? Jae-won pulled her into his arms, his hand cradling the back of her head. "Then we're paranoid together. I didn't survive this long by ignoring warning signs, Vanessa. If something feels wrong, it probably is. But Soo-yeon has been incredibly helpful." "I know. But helpful doesn't mean trustworthy. Not in our world." He pulled back to look at her, his eyes serious. "Do you trust her?" Vanessa opened her mouth to say yes, then stopped. "Did she? Really? I want to." "That's not the same thing." He was right. It wasn't. "So what do we do?" "We dig deeper. Quietly. Without letting anyone know we're looking." Jae-won's expression hardened into the calculating CEO who had built an empire. "I'll have some people check out this Singapore deal independently. If it's legitimate, great. If not, we'll know who's playing games." 3 days later, Jae-won came home early from a meeting, his face like thunder. Vanessa was on the floor of the living room, playing with Min-ah, when he strode in and went directly to his office without a word. She scooped up their daughter and followed, her heart already sinking. "What happened?" she asked, closing the office door behind her. "The Singapore deal is fake." Jae-won's voice was deadly calm, which was always more frightening than his anger. "The company exists, but they've never heard of any expansion into Korea. The financial projections were fabricated. The entire thing was a setup." Vanessa's arms tightened around Min-ah. "Soo-yeon? Either she was fooled, or she's part of it. I'm having her movements tracked as we speak." He looked at their daughter, something vulnerable cracking through his fury. "Someone wants access to Min-ah. The question is why, and who's behind it? What do we do? We spring the trap. But on our terms." Jae-won moved to his desk, pulling up security footage on his computer. "We tell Soo-yeon the meeting is approved. We let her think we're walking right into whatever they have planned. But we'll be ready. And when they make their move, we'll find out exactly who's behind this." "You want to use our daughter as bait?" Vanessa's voice rose despite her best efforts to stay calm. "I want to use a decoy that looks like our daughter. Min-ah will be safely hidden with guards I trust with my life. But whoever's planning this will think they have their chance. And we'll be waiting." It was risky. It was dangerous. It went against every motherly instinct Vanessa had. But it was also the only way to end this threat before it could fully materialize. "Okay," she said. "But I'm there. Every step of the way. I wouldn't have it any other way." The plan came together over the next week. Jae-won brought in a cousin's baby, similar age to Min-ah, dressed in her clothes. The real Min-ah was taken to a secure location with guards who had been with Jae-won since the beginning, men whose loyalty had been tested in blood and fire. Vanessa hated every second of being separated from her daughter, but she trusted Jae-won. And she trusted that this was the only way. Soo-yeon took the news of the approved meeting with perfect calm, if anything seeming pleased that they had listened to her advice. She arranged everything with her usual efficiency, the location, the security, the schedule. On the surface, everything looked normal. But Jae-won had his own people embedded everywhere, watching, waiting. The meeting was set for a private room at one of Seoul's most exclusive hotels. Ironic, Vanessa thought, as they arrived. She had cleaned rooms in hotels like this, invisible to the wealthy guests. Now she walked in as one of them, her arm linked with the most dangerous man in the city, about to face an enemy she couldn't yet see. Soo-yeon met them in the lobby, looking elegant in a deep green dress. They're already upstairs. Very prompt, very professional. I think this is going to go well. Let's hope so, Vanessa said, her hand tightening on Jae-won's arm. The decoy baby was with a woman posing as a nanny, following a few steps behind. To anyone watching, it looked exactly like the Kang family arriving for a business meeting. They took the elevator to the penthouse level, and with each floor that passed, Vanessa's heart beat harder. Jae-won was perfectly calm beside her, but she could feel the tension in his muscles, could see the way his eyes tracked every movement, every person. The elevator doors opened, and they walked down a plush hallway to a set of double doors. Soo-yeon opened them with a flourish, and they stepped inside. The room was empty. Where, Vanessa started, but the doors slammed shut behind them. She spun to see Soo-yeon standing there, gun in hand, her expression no longer warm or professional. It was cold. Triumphant. Cruel. Did you really think I was that easy to fool? Soo-yeon laughed, and it was nothing like the pleasant sound Vanessa had heard over months of coffee and conversation. Did you think I wouldn't know you'd switch the babies? Please. I've been planning this for over a year. I know how you think, Jae-won. I know every move you make before you make it. Where's my daughter? Vanessa's voice came out deadly calm, something fierce and protective overriding her fear. Safe. For now. Whether she stays that way depends entirely on what happens in the next few minutes. Soo-yeon gestured with the gun. Sit. Both of you. We're going to have a conversation, and for once, you're going to listen. Jae-won didn't move. You won't shoot. The moment you do, this building will be swarmed with my people. You'll never make it out alive. You're right. I won't shoot. Because I don't need to. Soo-yeon pulled out her phone, tapped a button, and a video filled the screen. Min-ah, their real daughter, being held by a man Vanessa didn't recognize. The timestamp showed it was live. One word from me, and she disappears. You'll never find her. She'll be raised by people who will teach her to hate you, Jae-won. To fear you. To want you dead. Is that what you want for your daughter? Vanessa felt her knees buckle, but Jae-won caught her, his arm like iron around her waist. What do you want? What I've always wanted. What you denied me. Soo-yeon's beautiful face twisted with rage and pain. I loved you. I gave you everything. I stood by your side through the worst of the war with your father. I killed for you. I bled for you. And you threw me away for a cleaner you knew for one night. I never promised you anything, Soo-yeon. We were over years before I met Vanessa. We were never over. You just refused to see what we could have been. What we should have been. She turned her hatred on Vanessa. And you. You swept in with your innocent act, your tragic story, your convenient pregnancy. You took everything that should have been mine. So this is revenge? Vanessa asked, her voice shaking with fury and fear. You'd hurt an innocent child because you couldn't handle rejection? I'd do anything to make him suffer the way he made me suffer. To take from him what he took from me. Soo-yeon's finger moved on her phone. But I'm not unreasonable. I'm offering you a choice, Jae-won. Sign over half your empire to me. Publicly divorce your wife and denounce your daughter as illegitimate. Walk away from everything you've built with her. Do that, and I'll give the child back unharmed. And if I don't? Then you'll never see her again. And every day for the rest of your life, you'll know she's out there, growing up to hate you. The silence that followed was suffocating. Vanessa looked at Jae-won, saw the agony in his eyes, the impossible choice tearing him apart. She knew what the empire meant to him. It was his mother's legacy, his life's work, everything he'd built from blood and loss. But she also knew, without a doubt, what he would choose. "Let me talk to him," Vanessa said suddenly. "Alone. Just for a moment. You owe us that much." Soo-yeon considered, then nodded. 2 minutes. I'll be right outside this door. Try anything, and I make the call." She stepped out, leaving them alone in the empty room. Immediately, Jae-won pulled Vanessa close, his forehead pressed against hers. "I'm going to give her what she wants," he whispered. "I'll sign over everything. I'll divorce you on paper. I'll do whatever it takes to get Min-ah back safely." "No. Vanessa. No. Because she's lying. She's going to kill Min-ah anyway. And probably us too." Vanessa pulled back to look at him. "Think about it. If she lets Min-ah live, we'll never stop hunting her. She knows that. This isn't about the empire or revenge or love. This is about eliminating the threat we pose. And the moment you sign those papers, we're all dead." Jae-won's jaw clenched. "Then what do we do? I can't lose our daughter." "You won't. Because I know where she is." "What?" Vanessa pulled out her phone, showing him the video Soo-yeon had displayed. "Look at the reflection in the window behind the man holding her. See that sign? That's the old pharmaceutical building on the east side. The one your organization shut down last year. It's been abandoned for months. She's there. How did you?" "I've been studying everything about your empire, remember? I know every property, every holding, every abandoned building that could be used as a hideout." Vanessa's voice was fierce with determination. "Your men can be there in 15 minutes. We just need to keep her talking." Jae-won looked at his wife with something beyond love, beyond admiration. "Have I mentioned lately that you're terrifying? Save it for when our daughter is safe." He pulled out his own phone, sent a quick encrypted message. Within seconds, a reply came back. His men were moving. Soo-yeon came back in, her expression impatient. "Time's up. What's your decision?" "I'll do it," Jae-won said. "I'll give you everything. Just, let me say goodbye to my daughter first. Let me see her, hold her one more time before I walk away." Something flickered in Soo-yeon's eyes. Doubt, maybe. Or satisfaction. "Fine. But you come alone. Leave your wife here as insurance." "No," Vanessa said immediately. "We both go, or the deal's off. You can shoot me if you want, but then you'll never get what you want from him. He'll burn the empire to the ground before he signs it over to my killer." It was a gamble, but Vanessa was counting on Soo-yeon's hatred being personal. She wanted Jae-won to suffer, to lose everything while still alive to feel it. Dead, he was just gone. Alive and broken was so much more satisfying. "Fine. You both come. But any tricks, any signals to your men, and I'll have her killed before you can blink." They took Soo-yeon's car, a sleek black sedan with tinted windows. She drove while keeping the gun trained on them, her phone in a holder where she could tap it with one finger. The video of Min-ah played on loop, a constant reminder of what was at stake. Vanessa watched the city pass by, her hand clasped tightly in Jae-won's. She tried to send him strength through that connection, tried to tell him without words that it would be okay. That they would get their daughter back. That they would survive this. But she wasn't sure she believed it. They pulled up to the old pharmaceutical building, exactly where Vanessa had suspected. It loomed against the evening sky, windows dark and broken, an industrial corpse slowly rotting. Soo-yeon led them inside at gunpoint, through corridors that smelled of mold and abandonment, upstairs that creaked ominously under their feet. And then they were in a room, and there was Min-ah, crying in the arms of a stranger. Every motherly instinct Vanessa had screamed at her to run to her daughter, to tear her away from the man holding her. But Soo-yeon's gun was steady, and any wrong move could end everything. The papers, Soo-yeon demanded, gesturing to a table where documents were already laid out. Sign them. Now. Jae-won moved toward the table, but his eyes were on his daughter. Let my wife hold her. Please. While I sign. Let her have that much. Soo-yeon considered, then nodded to the man. He handed Min-ah to Vanessa, and the moment her daughter was in her arms, Vanessa felt whole again. Min-ah's crying subsided to hiccups, her little hands fisting in her mother's shirt. Sign, Soo-yeon repeated. Jae-won picked up the pen. And then, from somewhere below, came the sound of shattering glass and shouting. Soo-yeon's face went white. What did you? Everything happened at once. Jae-won dropped the pen and lunged for Soo-yeon, knocking the gun from her hand. Vanessa ran with Min-ah, heading for the door. The man who had been holding Min-ah moved to intercept her, but she was a mother protecting her child, and she fought like a wild thing, kicking and scratching and refusing to let him touch her baby. Gunfire erupted from below. Jae-won and Soo-yeon were grappling for the fallen weapon, both of them trained fighters, both of them desperate. Vanessa made it to the hallway, running toward the sounds of Jae-won's men storming the building. She ran right into arms that caught her, one of Jae-won's guards, a man named Min-ho who had been with them from the beginning. Mrs. Kang. Are you hurt? The baby's fine. Jae-won's still up there. Soo-yeon has. Another gunshot, this one from the room she just left. Vanessa's heart stopped. She shoved Min-ah into Min-ho's arms and turned back, running toward the sound despite his shouts to stop. She burst into the room to find Jae-won standing over Soo-yeon's body, blood spreading across the floor. The gun was in his hand, his expression devastated. She went for it, he said, his voice hollow. I tried to just disarm her, but she wanted to die. She said if she couldn't have me, she'd rather be dead than watch me happy with you. Vanessa went to him, wrapping her arms around him from behind. It's over. It's done. Min-ah is safe. I trusted her. For years, I trusted her. I know. I did too. They stood there in the blood and the ruin, holding each other while Jae-won's men secured the building and took away the bodies. And when they finally walked out into the night air, Min-ah was waiting, safe in Min-ho's arms, reaching for her parents. Jae-won took his daughter, holding her against his chest while tears streamed down his face. Vanessa wrapped her arms around both of them, and they stood there as a family, whole and alive and together. But the night wasn't over yet. If you're still here, you're amazing. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me how you're feeling right now because we're not done yet. The next weeks were a blur of cleanup and revelation. Soo-yeon's phone revealed everything, her contacts, her plans, her network of betrayal. The Singapore connection had been real, but not in the way she'd presented it. They were rivals from Jae-won's father's era, old enemies who had allied with Soo-yeon to take down the son who had displaced their generation. With Soo-yeon dead and her conspiracy exposed, Jae-won moved swiftly to eliminate the remaining threats. It was brutal and efficient, and Vanessa tried not to think too hard about the details. This was the world they lived in. This was the price of safety. But the betrayal had taken a toll. Jae-won became more withdrawn, more paranoid. He trusted no one outside their immediate family. He worked longer hours, came home exhausted and haunted. And slowly, day by day, Vanessa watched the man she loved disappear behind walls she couldn't breach. Talk to me, she begged him one night, finding him in his office at 3 a.m, staring at security footage of their home. Please, Jae-won. You're shutting me out. I'm keeping you safe. By pushing me away? By turning into the monster everyone thinks you are? She moved around his desk, forcing him to look at her. I didn't fall in love with a machine. I fell in love with a man who played piano when he was stressed and brought me books and held my hair when I was sick. Where is he? Because I miss him. He got our daughter kidnapped because he trusted the wrong person. No. Soo-yeon got our daughter kidnapped because she was sick and obsessed. That's on her, not you. I should have seen it. The signs were all there. The way she looked at you, the way she inserted herself into our lives. I was so focused on outside threats that I missed the one right beside us. Vanessa cupped his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. So you're human. Welcome to the club. We all miss things. We all make mistakes. But you don't get to use those mistakes as an excuse to shut me out of your life. What if I lose you? What if next time, my mistake costs me you or Minna or everything that matters? Then we deal with it together. Like we always have. Like we always will. She kissed him, soft and sweet, trying to pour all her love and frustration into that connection. I didn't survive everything we've been through just to lose you to your own guilt. Come back to me, Jae-won. Please. He broke then, pulling her into his arms and burying his face in her hair. His shoulders shook with silent sobs, all the grief and fear and guilt he'd been holding finally pouring out. Vanessa held him through it, whispering words of comfort and love, reminding him that he wasn't alone. They made love that night, desperate and healing, reconnecting in the most fundamental way. And afterward, lying tangled together in the sheets, Jae-won told her everything he'd been feeling. All the fear, all the doubt, all the terrible weight of responsibility he carried. I love you, he said finally. I love you so much it terrifies me. Because loving you means you can hurt me. It means I have something to lose that would destroy me if it was taken away. Love is always a risk. But it's a risk worth taking. And I'm not going anywhere, Jae-won. You're stuck with me. Promise? I promise. Through everything. Forever. Things slowly improved after that night. Jae-won was still careful, still cautious, but he stopped shutting Vanessa out. He started playing piano again, filling their home with music. He took more time with Minna, teaching her to wave and laugh and say, Appa, in her baby babble. He smiled more, laughed more, lived more. And Vanessa fell in love with him all over again, deeper than before. 6 months after Soo-yeon's death, they had a vow renewal ceremony. It was Vanessa's idea, a way to mark the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. This time, it wasn't a rushed affair with strangers as witnesses. This time, they invited the people who had become their family, Min-ho and the guards who had protected them, the few allies whose loyalty had been tested and proven, and even some of Vanessa's old friends from the hotel who had kept in touch despite her dramatic change in circumstances. They said their vows at sunset on the penthouse balcony, the same place where they had stood a year ago and chosen each other. But this time, the words were different. This time, they knew exactly what they were promising. I vow to trust you, Jae-won said, his hands holding hers. Even when my fear tells me not to. I vow to let you in, even when it's easier to shut you out. I vow to be the man you fell in love with, and to grow with you into someone even better. I vow to stand beside you, Vanessa replied, tears streaming down her face. Not behind you, not in front of you, but beside you as your equal partner. I vow to call you out when you're being an idiot, to support you when you're being brilliant, and to love you through everything in between. They kissed while their friends and family applauded, while Minna babbled happily in her grandmother's arms. Jae-won had found his mother's sister, an aunt he'd lost contact with years ago, and brought her back into his life. The family was growing, healing, becoming whole. But happiness, Vanessa was learning, was always fragile in their world. The threat came on a Tuesday, ordinary and unremarkable. Vanessa was at the park with Minna, surrounded by guards who tried to be discreet but were obviously security. She was pushing her daughter on the baby swing, laughing at her delighted squeals, when a woman approached. She was Western, blonde and beautiful in an expensive casual way. She smiled warmly as she sat on the bench nearby, watching her own child play. Beautiful daughter, she said in accented Korean. Thank you, Vanessa replied politely, her guard already up. Strangers who approached her were rarely just friendly. She looks just like her father. The eyes especially. The woman's smile didn't change, but something in her tone made Vanessa's blood run cold. Kang Jae-won is a lucky man. Such a beautiful family. It would be a shame if something happened to them. Vanessa stepped in front of the swing, blocking Min-ah from view. Her guards were already moving closer. Who are you? Someone with a message. Tell your husband that the Volkov family doesn't forget. Tell him that his father owed us a debt, and we're here to collect. He has 1 week to contact us, or we'll take our payment in blood. Starting with the pretty little princess on the swing. Before Vanessa could respond, before her guards could grab the woman, she stood and walked away, disappearing into the crowd of parkgoers like she'd never been there at all. Vanessa scooped Min-ah from the swing, her heart racing. We're leaving. Now. The ride home was tense and silent. Vanessa clutched Min-ah to her chest, her mind racing. The Volkov family. Russian Mafia. She'd heard the name whispered in meetings, always with a mixture of fear and respect. They were old power, old money, old grudges. And apparently, they had decided to target her family. Jae-won was in a meeting when they arrived home, but Vanessa didn't care. She burst into his office, interrupting a video call with investors, and said 3 words that made him go pale. The Volkovs sent a message. He ended the call immediately. What happened? Vanessa told him everything, her voice shaking with fury and fear. When she finished, Jae-won was already on the phone, barking orders in Korean too rapid for her to fully follow. Within minutes, their security had tripled. Within an hour, he had pulled together his most trusted advisors for an emergency meeting. My father borrowed money from the Volkovs 20 years ago to fund his expansion, Jae-won explained to the room, his jaw tight with anger. He never paid it back. They've been quiet for years, probably because they knew he was in hiding and I was too powerful to pressure directly. But now, with everything that's happened with Soo-yeon, they must think we're vulnerable. What do they want? Vanessa asked. $50 million. Or equivalent territory and business concessions. It's extortion dressed up as debt collection. So pay them. Every head in the room turned to look at Vanessa. She met their gazes steadily, her hand resting on Min-ah in her lap. Pay them, she repeated. If it ends this threat, if it keeps our daughter safe, pay them every penny. It won't end it, Min-ho said gently. Paying them just shows we're willing to be extorted. Next year, they'll want more. And more. And more. So what's the alternative? We go to war with the Russian Mafia? If necessary, Jae-won said quietly. I won't let them threaten my family. Not now, not ever. Even if it means more bloodshed? More danger? More nights wondering if this is the day they succeed in taking everything from us? Vanessa's voice rose despite her best efforts to stay calm. I'm tired, Jae-won. I'm so tired of fighting. Can't we just pay them and be done with it? You know it doesn't work that way. Then make it work that way. You're Kang Jae-won. You built an empire from nothing. You took down your own father. Surely you can negotiate with the Russians without it becoming a war. The room was silent. Jae-won looked at his wife, saw the exhaustion and fear in her eyes, and felt something in his chest crack. She was right. She had been through so much, survived so much. How much more could he ask of her? Everyone out, he said quietly. I need to talk to my wife alone. The room cleared quickly. When they were alone, Jae-won knelt in front of Vanessa's chair, taking her hands in his. I'm sorry, he said. You're right. I've been so focused on strength, on never showing weakness, that I forgot the whole point of this empire is to protect you and Min-ah. Not to put you in more danger. So what do? We negotiate. We find out what they really want, what would actually satisfy them. And we find a way to give it to them without bankrupting ourselves or showing so much weakness that every other organization decides to try their luck with us. Can you do that? Can you walk that line? With you beside me? I can do anything. The negotiation took place on neutral ground, a restaurant owned by a third party with no allegiance to either the Koreans or the Russians. Jae-won brought Vanessa, showing that this was family business, not just gang business. The Volkovs sent their representative, a man named Alexei who looked like he could break someone in half with his bare hands but spoke with surprising eloquence. Your father was a bastard, Alexei said pleasantly, sipping vodka. Charming, but a bastard. He promised us 30% of his Korean operations in exchange for startup capital. We gave him $5 million. He gave us nothing. That was 20 years ago. With interest, that's 50 million. Yes. But we both know that's not really about the money. Alexei leaned forward. It's about respect. Your father disrespected us. Made us look weak. We let it go because going after him would have been messy. But you? You're legitimate now. Moving into real business. You care about reputation, about image. What's your point? My point is that we want what we were originally promised. Not money. Partnership. Give us 30% of your Seoul shipping operations, and we call it even. Jae-won's expression didn't change, but Vanessa felt him tense beside her. The shipping operations were one of their most profitable legitimate businesses. Handing over a third of it would hurt. But Alexei wasn't done. Or, if you prefer, we have an alternative. We're expanding into Southeast Asia. We need a local partner who knows the territory, who has connections and reputation. Help us establish ourselves in 3 cities of our choosing, and we'll consider your father's debt paid in full. That could take years. 2 years. Maximum. After that, we part as friends and allies, not enemies. Alexei sat back, swirling his vodka. It's a good deal, Kang. Better than war. Better than paying us off and wondering when we'll come back for more. Vanessa felt Jae-won considering it, weighing the options. She squeezed his hand under the table, a silent reminder that she was there, that they would face this together. I need to discuss it with my wife, Jae-won said finally. Give us a moment. Alexei nodded and stepped away, moving to the bar to give them privacy. What do you think? Jae-won asked quietly. I think it's risky. I think it ties us to them for years. I think it could bring more attention from authorities if we're helping the Russian Mafia expand. Vanessa paused. But I also think it's better than the alternatives. And maybe, if we're careful, we can use it. Build an alliance that protects us instead of just draining us. You're thinking long-term. Someone has to. You're always focused on the immediate threat. But I want Min-ah to grow up in a world where she has allies, not just enemies. Where the Kang name means partnership and power, not just fear. Jae-won looked at his wife, this woman who had come into his life as a frightened cleaner and had become his fiercest advisor, his strongest supporter, his equal in every way. How did I get so lucky, he murmured. You showed up at my apartment with a pregnancy test and a marriage proposal. The luck was all mine. She smiled. Now go make this deal. And make it good. The agreement was signed that night. 2 years of partnership, helping the Volkovs establish themselves in Manila, Bangkok, and Ho Chi Minh City. In exchange, all debts were forgiven, and a formal alliance was established between the organizations. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't without risk. But it was a future that didn't involve immediate war, and that was enough. As they drove home that night, Min-ah asleep in her car seat, Vanessa leaned her head on Jae-won's shoulder. We did it, she said softly. We did. Think we can make it 2 more years without someone trying to kill us? Probably not. But we'll face it together when it comes. Together, Vanessa agreed. Always together. 1 year later, Vanessa discovered she was pregnant again. She told Jae-won over breakfast, while Min-ah banged her spoon on her high chair and babbled about the birds outside the window. Are you serious? Jae-won's face went through about 6 different expressions in 3 seconds. Very serious. About 3 months along. I wasn't sure at first, but the doctor confirmed it yesterday. He was around the table in a heartbeat, pulling her into his arms and spinning her around despite her laughing protests. Min-ah clapped her hands, delighted by her father's antics even if she didn't understand them. Another baby, Jae-won said wonderingly. We're going to have another baby. Are you happy? Happy? Vanessa, I'm terrified and thrilled and completely overwhelmed. So yes. I'm happy. Incredibly, impossibly happy. The pregnancy was easier this time, without the stress and danger that had marked Minna's gestation. Vanessa glowed with health, and Jae-won was even more protective than before, if that was possible. He baby-proofed every corner of their home, read every book on raising children, and drove their doctor crazy with questions. You do remember we've already done this once, right? Vanessa teased him. This is different. This is our choice. Minna was a surprise, a blessing, but this baby is something we chose together. That feels bigger somehow. Their son was born on a spring morning, with cherry blossoms falling outside the hospital window like snow. He came into the world screaming his displeasure at the cold and the light, and he didn't stop until Jae-won held him, skin to skin, and whispered to him in Korean. What are you saying? Vanessa asked from the bed, exhausted but radiant. I'm telling him about his mother. About how she's the bravest, fiercest, most incredible woman in the world. About how lucky he is to be her son. And his father? His father is going to try his best to be worthy of them both. They named him Jae-hyun, meaning wisdom and honor. And as Vanessa watched her husband hold their son, with their daughter sleeping in her grandmother's arms nearby, she felt a peace she had never known before. This was family. This was home. This was everything she had never dared to dream she could have. The years that followed were full and chaotic and beautiful. Minna grew into a precocious child who could charm anyone but had her father's steel underneath. Jae-hyun was quieter, more thoughtful, with his mother's ability to see through people. Together, they filled the penthouse with laughter and noise and the kind of joy that made even the hardest days bearable. The partnership with the Volkovs ended successfully after 2 years, as promised. They parted as allies, occasional business partners, but no longer entangled. Other threats came and went, they always did in Jae-won's world, but nothing as dire as what they had already survived. And slowly, year by year, Jae-won transformed their empire. He divested from the worst of the illegal operations, invested heavily in legitimate businesses, and built something that could be inherited without shame. It wasn't perfect. There were still shadows, still secrets, still necessary evils. But it was better. Cleaner. A legacy worth leaving. On their 5th wedding anniversary, Jae-won took Vanessa back to the park where they had scattered rose petals during their vow renewal. The children were with their grandmother for the night, giving them a rare evening alone. 5 years, Vanessa said, leaning against the railing and looking out at the city. Can you believe it's been 5 years since you showed up at my door with that pregnancy test? Best decision I ever made. Proposing to a stranger with a pregnancy test and threatening to break down her door? Loving you. That was the best decision. Jae-won turned her to face him, his hands gentle on her face. You changed everything, Vanessa. You changed me. Made me better. Made me want to be better. You did that yourself. I just loved you while you figured it out. Just loved me. As if that's a small thing. He kissed her, soft and sweet, the kind of kiss that still made her heart flutter after all these years. I love you. More than I thought I could love anyone. More than I knew I was capable of. I love you too. Every complicated, dangerous, beautiful part of you. They stood there as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, and Vanessa thought about how far they had come. From a desperate marriage of convenience to this, a love so deep and true it had survived everything thrown at it. But even in that moment of peace, in the heart of their happiness, neither of them noticed the photographer across the park, capturing their image. Neither of them saw the way the photos were uploaded to a secure server, tagged with notes and observations. Neither of them knew that Jae-won's father's oldest enemy, a man who had waited 5 years for the perfect moment to strike, had finally found his opportunity. The past, as it always did, was coming back. And this time, it wouldn't be satisfied with anything less than complete destruction. But that's a story for another time. For now, drop a comment telling me if you want part 3, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next. Share this with your friends who love dramatic romance, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay tuned for more incredible stories only here on Afro Korean.